Well, so it's time for the news. Let's bring you the latest news headlines we have in the studio. After that, we'll look at the news review. And traders whose shops were gutted by fire at the Kumasi Central Market are reconstructing their structures to resume business. At least 76 shops were razed down over the weekend, and the second of the same section this year. The Ghana National Fire Service says so far investigations have revealed faulty electrical appliances were responsible as affected traders counter their losses. Nana Sensu Mensah interacted with some of them and reports.
Yet another mysterious fire at Kumasi Central Market. 76 shops at the French line section of the market razed down and left owners devastated. Goods and perhaps cash worth millions of cedis have been lost as affected traders count their losses. Eyewitnesses say the fire began Sunday dawn and spread quickly through the enclave.
What we heard was 3 sounds like something explosion or explode. And as the thing exploded, at the end of it, the fire that came was very terrible. We did all that we could, but because this area was actually meant with woods, you know, it's not easy for you to quench or to off the fire easily. We are not having phones, but those that had phones by that time, they did their best to call the fire so that they can also come and do what they can do.
The second phase of the Kajetia market redevelopment is envisaged to decongest the market with relocation of traders to the newly constructed Kajetia market. Administrative protocols are, however, holding up the process as even registered traders at Kajetia are yet to complete occupation of new shops. Under the circumstance, those at the central market have no clue when they will be relocated. Traders say they can't wait for authorities because their livelihoods depend on their businesses at the market despite the perennial risk.
The reason why we are doing it right now, we don't know what to do, and we cannot sit down. We cannot sit down like that. So we are trying to manage and do something a little. We have children and we have wife, we have family. We are taking care of them. So we don't have anything to do. So we are just trying to see whether we can do some small things and started doing small and take care of our family and friends.
The traders are seriously reconstructing their sheds, which city authorities say obstruct the work of the fire service, even in investigation into the latest incident. Afia Konadu speaks for the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly.
Ideally, they're not supposed to construct it. The sheds were constructed by KMA, so it behoves on us to reconstruct it. And because we know we're going to put the place down and then we work with reports, we cannot just go the next day and rebuild the sheds for them. We have to wait for the reports of NADMO and fire service, and then based on the reports, we can take a decision whether to reconstruct the sheds for them immediately or to hold on.
So, what's next for traders at Central Market? Completion of relocation for construction work to begin, or yet another unforeseen incident? Nana Sensu Mensah reporting.
Now, the minority in Parliament is taking steps to have the Finance Minister appear in the House to answer questions about the PDS saga. Now, the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, says that his side intends to file a half-hour motion on the matter. Now, he says the House should be given an opportunity to debate and seek clarity on recent issues regarding the PDS.
This House and Parliament must remain a forum where right and wrong is debated. But, Mr. Speaker, as we debate, right must prevail, not partisanship. We need to manage the expectations of the Ghanaian people and to address the nagging issues which still affect them: poverty, quality of life, and housing. So, Mr. Speaker, I can only say a warm welcome to all our colleagues and to pray, Mr. Speaker, that the Minister for Finance come on time to the election budget of 2020 so that thoroughly we can scrutinize it and make justice to it. Mr. Speaker, I need to serve you notice that we on this side, we are thoroughly studying the PDS agreement that has so been cancelled. As we are reading, we will invoke the 49 to bring the matter to state law. We shall come to matters arising later. Mr. Speaker, otherwise we may end up arguing from archaeology to zoology. Mr. Speaker, So I want to welcome our colleagues back and wish them well in their primaries, those who will run and those who may voluntarily exit.
Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu there. Meanwhile, ranking member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, has described as a slight on Ghana government's handling of the PDS saga.
When you don't conduct yourself as a sovereign creditably, with integrity, above board, you don't exhibit transparency and accountability, you lose respect and you lose even the moral grounds to talk about sovereignty. It's not a matter of calling the bluff. It's really a matter of the Ghanaian government having embarrassed itself. The Ghanaian government has put Ghana in an awkward position where we are now being seen in the Committee of Nations as a country that promotes corruption, that is not a transparent country, a country that does not pursue the dictates of good governance. That's where, unfortunately, the conduct of the Akufo-Addo-led administration has placed Ghana, and that is what is affecting our image internationally. And as you have heard, some ambassadors already complain about corruption, the stinking levels of corruption in Ghana. This matter is going to further aggravate matters.
Now, the chairman of the committee, Frank ANNOH-DOMPREH, however, disagrees.
I don't think that we need to belabor the point. If there is anybody who has conviction, and the Americans are here, the American embassy here, they are also monitoring, they have their intelligence. If they have a conviction and they have evidence that there is any fraud inherent, they will do what they have to do. They will do the needful. So I want to challenge my colleagues on the other side. If it is not just for the politics of it, they should go to court. Let them resort to the civil approach by going to courts. And let a properly constituted court pass judgment if it is fraud. Because they say fraud vitiates everything. Once fraud is inherent there and it can be proven, then of course we can all come back and tell the story in the proper context.
But the Americans
about the Bruja? Yes.
No, I'm not worried. What I know, the evidence before me, and what I know, and the overarching mission and vision of our president is the one that is to prosecute and execute an agenda that will liberate and transform our country. And I think that we still stand by that. So, notwithstanding all these supposed exchanges and supposed criticisms coming from the minority, and it is fair, the minority have the right to criticize. But I'm saying that whatever hurdle thereof, we will jump it. But there is no fraud.
In other news, the chairman of the governing MPP, Freddie Blay, is reiterating his pledge that each constituency branch of his party will receive a bus for commercial use. This is to raise funds for the constituency. He made this promise prior to his election as chairman, but it has since been hit with a lot of controversies, from a probe by Shraj into the source of money for the project to a businessman claiming ownership. An Accra High Court earlier on Tuesday acquitted and discharged him of contempt over claims he was refusing to cooperate with Shraj. There's more in the following report.
The Coalition for Social Justice filed a petition with Shraj in July 2018 asking that he investigates Mr. Blay for the procurement of the vehicles. But there appears to be a year of cat and mouse game between Shraj and the party leader. Shraj says Freddie Blay even refused to honor subpoenas. The politician has rejected all the accusation and launched his own, accusing Shraj of playing politics. In his affidavit in court, the NPP national chairman maintained he has at no point disrespected, maligned or disobeyed any directive from Shraj. Justice Kumsin in his ruling said no evidence had been adduced by Shraj to show that Mr. Blay received any notice or that anyone received such a petition on his behalf. He said unless officers of Shraj were being mischievous, no rational person will act in such a manner. He wondered why attempts were not made to serve the NPP chairman at his office at the Ghana National Petroleum Commission. He further stated that despite letters being sent to the offices of Daily Guide and the NPP, no one signed or received it on behalf of the politician. Justice Commission awarded a cost of 5,000 cedis against Shraj. Mr. Blade told pressmen he is relieved by the court's decision.
If I was convicted, maybe I would have lost my freedom. Would have gone to, would have committed me to prison. That's unfortunate. Thank God that it didn't happen. The judge ruled that I was not guilty of contempt. But me, the most important issue is that, as you could, if you were in the courtroom, you would have realized the judge went ahead to read the application in detail and being charged of corruption, of abuse of public office, and so forth and so on. That's the substance of the application. But even the idea of the Shrag investigating me is that, according to them, I've been accused of having involved myself in regards to purchase of a role I played in the purchase of buses for my party, NPP. All along my position has been, I have not been involved in any corruption. I've not done anything untoward. The question of being part of efforts for a bank to give a loan for us to purchase buses to help our party run. This, to me, does not constitute corruption.
He has also been assuring that members of the party will receive the buses soon.
I have not been personally involved in a purchase of a bus. Those who I have been with have made attempt and succeeded in getting the bank to help advance the loan for the purchase of the buses. It's not Freddie Blay who have bought buses. I played a role, yes, a key role in it, and not Freddie Blay as a person. The buses are meant for the benefit of my party, and that's the case.
But do you know when the party members will receive it?
Very soon.
Okay. It's not clear at this stage the next step Shraj intends to take towards the resolution of this matter.
Now, Governance Group, Election Community of Practice and Learning, ECOPL, is demanding from government the status of the implementation of the Constitutional Review Commission's recommendations, 7 years after a white paper was issued by government. The commission, set up in 2010, was to engage citizens, stakeholders and other interest groups to identify shortcomings of the 1992 Constitution and make recommendations for amendments to meet current needs. Now, addressing a press conference in Accra on Tuesday, co-convener of the group, Aram Bashan, called on the president, the media and other groups to take interest in demanding the recommendations are affected.
Following the submission of the CRC's final report, which recommended changes in the current constitution, the government of Ghana then issued a white paper on the CRC's report and set up a Constitutional Review Implementation Committee, CRIC, in 2014 to move this process forward. That is how far we have come. From then till now, the Elections Community of Practice and Learning, ECOPL, noted the following actions after the submission of the CRC's reports. That 1, government had issued a white paper on the report of the Constitution Review Commission. In that white paper, government accepted over 90% of the recommendations of the commission. Number 2, from our checks, we noted that following the formation of the Implementation Committee, a constitutional amendment bill was prepared by government. We are interested in finding out what actually happened to that bill. We also note that after the 2016 general elections and the subsequent change in government, nothing substantial has been heard or done to implement the recommendations from the Constitution Review exercise as adopted in the white paper. There is also no clear or detailed implementation plan of which Ghanaians can hold government to account. We call for an official declaration of the status of implementation of the recommendations of the Constitution Review Commission and the current members of CRIC. We call on the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to ensure the Constitution is amended holistically, inclusively, and transparently in accordance with aspirations of Ghanaians. We call on citizens to join us in demanding from government update on the implementation of the Constitutional Review recommendations and the roadmap for implementing the same.
And before we go, he led his entire family to invest the sum of some 200,000 Ghana cedis in investment firm Gold Coast Fund Management Limited, which is now a troubled company. Michael LAMPTEY was the first to invest, at least we know, some 40,000 Ghana cedis in the firm. And as a finance person, he was able to convince 4 other family members to also deposit their savings. Well, and these include his wife, mother-in-law, and sister-in-law. But for 4 months, Gold Coast Fund Management has been struggling to pay its customers. And Michael shares how the situation is currently affecting his entire family in the following report compiled by Fifi Kumsin.
What's the situation in the house now?
Your guess is good as mine.
Michael LAMPTEY sobs as he narrates a struggle to redeem his investment with Gold Coast Fund Management Limited.
The old woman cannot tell you that what you've done, I don't like it. But you should know. As we speak, the old woman is in the house taking care of my 1.5-year-old son. I'm a father of 3. My mother is alive, my father is alive. They all depend on me. In less than 20 years, the government will ask me to go on retirement. Because I'm about 40 as I'm talking to you. What do I have? At least if I'm able to get this, I can start something.
But he's a man in a lot of trouble. As a finance person, he's the go-to man in his family when anyone wants to invest. So after he had invested his 40,000 Ghana cedis at Gold Coast Fund Management, he convinced 4 other family members to invest. His wife.
My wife, who was by then not even, when it asked for my wife to, she was just like me before. She's not that, with investments. I managed to, encourage my wife, coerce her to do investments with Gold Coast. So the money that she has in her account, in fact, I even took her to the bank. Yes.
Mother-in-law.
My mother-in-law, a pensioner. I didn't even talk to my wife, but I went straight to my mother-in-law. You are a pensioner. The letter that you have in your account, if you save it to. So I encouraged this old lady. I took the old lady to the bank. She took her money to Gold Coast. I didn't end there.
And brother-in-law.
My in-law, my wife's brother, a senior man.
Together, the family has invested 200,000 Ghana cedis, LAMPTEY says. But for almost a year now, the family has been trying hard without success to get their money.
200,000 Ghana cedis is now with Gold Coast. And since we all of us started the investment, we've not even gone for a penny. My principal, let alone the interest, everything is there. You can imagine the situation in my house now, my brother. Security and Exchange Commission. In fact, Reverend Obambe, we had a meeting with him, and I told Obambe that, you know what, I think it's a crime to invest in Ghana. In fact, a Ghanaian to invest is a crime. I told Obambe that. He was like, Mike, I said, yes. Because this is my hard-earned money, my toil, and this is what I'm going through. Why?
LAMPTEY is just a little over 40 years, and already he's been diagnosed with hypertension. He blames his new condition on the intense pressure on him, the man who led his entire family into a botched investment.
As we speak, my brother, let me show you something. And we have the records here. Please read this thing for me.
Okay, so this one says the brief clinical history. Well, it's the name of patient Michael Lamptey, X-ray request form. Fascicular block, newly diagnosed hypertension.
See, that is what I've been diagnosed of. I went to the hospital, the doctor tested, in fact, not even a doctor, the nurse, the one was like, gentlemen, do you have hypertension in your family or BP? I said, no. I said, by then they had already done about 4 times. And the records that, you know, the woman sees on the screen was 190, 180. Already by then I've already run series of tests.
Lamptey is not the only one worried about the situation. Meet this man.
My heart. At the stage, one night, things were bad, so I was rushed to the hospital. Yeah, I stayed there for 4 days, and I was given some medications. I said the best would be that the outer, that big artery, there's some problem there, and it will need some operation.
The surgery.
The surgery.
He's 82 years old with a heart condition and needs urgent surgery. He has no money for it now, but he has over 150,000 Ghana cedis locked up at Gold Coast.
I needed some money.
How much?
Oh, 35,000.
35,000?
Yes, cedis. So I went and told them that this was it.
Gold Coast.
Gold Coast.
Okay.
We will come, we are getting some money when we get. So I went to the hospital again, and I was giving some sustaining drugs to buy for some time. So it gave me some leeway, and this kept on, and I kept on going. But the money, yes.
How much do you have there?
Oh, what I invested, I thought it would be 150 something, but with the interest there, at the stage, presently it's about 200,000 cedis.
The octogenarian says he's scared.
Oh, heart, anything about heart will be fatal. Anything about heart. It's serious. It might be manual to them, but to me, the layman, I feel scared. And I feel I must do it. You live as if you can go tomorrow, but you have to try to suppress that air of depression that's trying to develop in you. You try to forget it.
JoyNews has reached out to Gold Coast Fund Management Limited on the case of Lamptey and his family and other people affected by the troubles of Gold Coast Fund Management. Gold Coast says it will work with the affected persons and have the issues resolved. But for now, Lamptey and the old man remain under pressure and afraid of the unknown. Fifi Kumsin, JoyNews.
Sad. Well, that's it for the latest news updates. We have more news. We'll do review of the newspapers. We have a couple of them in the studio. Myself, Koje Yankson and Mamavi. Do stay with us.